everybody. What's up, Alexis? Good to see you. Always bringing color, always bringing energy. Tiffany, Heather, I like seeing you guys move here on a, what's today, Thursday? Good to see everybody. Laverne, what's going on? Good to see you. Hey, Danielle, Martha and Monica, Debbie, what's going on, Debbie? Daniel Turner, love the guitars, man. Cool collection you got there. Hey, good to see you guys here for Inner Circle. You know, you get this because you're a part of Mastermind. Anybody new to Mastermind? Raise your hand if you're new to this family in the last week, or you came in because of the Black Friday offer. So good to see everybody new. Welcome. You know, there's a lot of different parts of Mastermind. Being a member, I feel so blessed that we get to serve so many people with the education, the skills, the capabilities to keep you plugged in. Tony and I built Mastermind because it's the thing we wish we had 40 years ago, 30 years ago, 20 years ago, a decade ago, in a time where the outside world is going a little crazy, at a time where it's easy to see obstacles. It's easy to see what we're missing. It's cool to have a place where you could plug into, where you could see opportunity, where you can gain capabilities, where you can be connected to other cool people that all desire to have a bigger future. Other people that have dreams, but they're not just dreaming, they're doing, right? A dream without goals and capabilities is just a hope. Hope is a wonderful thing to have, but it's not a strategy, right? We must dream about more, then gain new capabilities, and then take uncomfortable action with those capabilities. Can we agree on that on a Thursday? So I hope you know, listen, Inner Circle is really personal to me. This is, I think, my 10th year doing it. I'm live every single month, just sharing on mindset, marketing, momentum. For the first, maybe it's over a decade, for the first 5 years, it was $97 a month just to be a part of this. Now we made it a part of Mastermind, and the family's just growing bigger, stronger, better. I'm so glad to have you guys here live. If you're watching the replay, cool. You might be watching this a year after I do it. But these are really personal to me. And my goal here today, just so everybody's aware, is not to, I hope I motivate you, I hope I inspire you a little bit, but inspiration and motivation last a moment. Capabilities can last a lifetime. So I want to share some capabilities today to enhance your life, to enhance your business, to prepare for where we're going in 2024. We got some headwinds potentially coming. How do we prepare and slingshot into a new year? I want to share something that's one of the biggest, I think, core competencies of mine. Today we're going to talk about mastering your message. Mastering your message. Listen, in life, nothing moves until we get a yes. Can we agree on that? That nothing moves until you get a yes. Unless you get a yes of approval for the people around you, your spouse, the people you work with, the company, the team, until you get someone to say yes to buy your product, your course, to hire you as a consultant. Unless a yes happens, then sometimes this can just be a dream. And today I want to talk a little bit about how to get a yes in a really elegant way. And that's through mastering your message. Now, if you guys have known me for a while, some of you have been with me the whole 10, 12 years, which is fantastic. Some are brand new. I don't believe in, I shouldn't say that. I don't believe the way to master getting a yes is just mastering a sales presentation. I think that can get you out of Egypt, but I doubt it'll take you to the promised land. A sales pitch or a sales presentation without heart behind it, without passion behind it, without caring behind it, without truly believing in what you do, it falls flat. You'll dabble in this space. I see Bob Holmes. I see you shaking your head, man. Good to have you here. If you don't have heart, if you don't feel that you're truly making a difference, then I really don't know how to teach someone to sell with just a robotic, do this first, do this, this is when you anchor, this is when you sell, this is when you drop the price. Those things exist. But when you do that with a heart, with a caring, we're knowing that if you don't get a yes from somebody, you're doing them a disservice, then everything changes. But today, when I'm talking about mastering your message today, I want to kind of pre-frame where I think we should go. Is what if I told you that the best way to master your message is to really be vulnerable and be you? I think so many times, I know when I started, I got to tell you, when I first started, it's 27 years ago now, there wasn't the internet. And I don't want to get into that's how old I am. Just the truth of the matter is there was no internet. I watched Tony Robbins, I bought all his stuff, and I'm like, I'm going to be in this business. There was direct mail and infomercials. Everybody's like, why would you do an infomercial? Why would Tony do an infomercial? Because we're old and there was no internet when I started. In 1998, there was no other outlet. Elaine, you're laughing at me, right? There was no other way. So here's the thing. I get excited. I want to be in this industry. I'm like, I'm doing this. I'm going all in, like so many of you had. Self-doubt, insecurity. I'm not Tony Robbins. I don't have a following. I didn't go to college. I don't have a lot of money. All that crap was in there. And the other part of me was, you're meant for more. You could do this shit. Don't listen to that voice. Anybody else have those two voices, or is it just me? Right? So luckily, Matt, you have two hands up. So I know you get it, right? So I had both those voices, but I went for it. So I studied Tony Robbins' infomercial. And at the time, there was a guy named Carlton Sheets. I don't know if anybody remembers Carlton Sheets. No money down real estate. Anybody? Margaret, I see you raising your hand. If you're over 45, you might remember these infomercials. They were on nonstop. So I had never been on camera before. I was a collision shop guy who worked on apartments and houses, and I was going to teach, right? I did get well, because I had a used car lot, Dean's Auto Sales. Pretty cool. I sold, I had like 10 cars out front at once. And I got really good at communicating with people to buy cars. What I realized at an early age, and this is some of the stuff I'm going to share today, is I hated being a car salesman. I didn't want to sell. So I remember I used to go out and I would just have a conversation with people looking at a car. I'd just talk to them and say, hey, what are you looking for? How many kids do you have? Where do you live? And I remember getting to a point where I was just like, these cars probably won't fit that growing family of yours, but there's a great spot down the road. And I remember I found this way to build where people wanted to buy from me. In fact, I'll just tell you a funny story. I'm digressing today. Please excuse me. I don't have a lot of notes. I got notes, but this is more of a conversation. I promise I'll get to the point of strategy and tactics. But as a joke, my dad used to come work with me on a Saturday to help sell cars. And my dad had been selling cars on and off for 40 years or 35 years. And my dad, honestly, he was a salesperson. And we used to joke, it'd be on a Saturday, I was probably 19 years old, and somebody would pull up outside and they'd be looking at one of my 10 cars out front. And I'd say to my dad, hey, you want to go out there and scare them away, or should I go out and actually sell them? And I remember my dad, he's like, you little bastard. That's exactly how my dad talks. He called me a little bastard. So I hope you don't mind my language there. But the truth was, my dad would go out there and talk, and I would go out and listen. And I'd outsell my dad about 5-1 at a young age. So why did I share all that? Carlton Sheets, no money down. And I watched Tony Robbins. So I'm thinking the day I'm going to shoot my first infomercial, I didn't plan on sharing this, but I want you to hear this because there's so many of you that are new. I want you to know I didn't have all the money to do it. I used some credit cards. Back then, to do an infomercial and pay for the media, it was like $250,000 because I had to pay $100,000 to produce the infomercial and hire a company. I didn't know I could do it myself, and then the editing. And back then, it wasn't digital like you could film on a phone. They came with cameras that looked this big. They came with a dolly. If you guys ever seen the dolly, it was like a truck on wheels. They brought this thing that was like 1,000 pounds and put it on tracks. It was crazy, all the money I was spending. And I watched so much Tony and so much Carlton Sheets, and I'm like, those guys are good. I'm just this guy from upstate New York that works on I was working on a car this morning. Like, I was working on an apartment last night to midnight. So I got to be like them. And I remember, like, I'm talking to you like this, and the camera went on, and I became something I don't even know who it was. I was a mix between Tony Robbins and Carlton Sheets and maybe some other actor, and this weird voice came out, and I got cotton mouth. It was just the most awkward thing you have ever seen in your entire life. Because I thought, hey, no one would buy from me. I'm an introvert. I'm shy. I have a high-pitched voice. I'm in my 20s. I have a New York accent. I think I got to be somebody better. Oh my God, it was the most ridiculous thing you've ever seen in your entire life. I don't know who I was. It got so bad that I couldn't do it anymore. I've told this story before. If you've heard it, I'm sorry. I apologize. But literally, there was a bottle of tequila at my house from Christmas, like the year before. I'm not a tequila drinker. Not that tequila is not amazing. I just don't drink tequila. It was in my house. I said, I know what I'll do. I'll go do a shot of tequila, calm my nerves, and I could get into who I am. And I went and did a shot of tequila, and I came back and I just had a little fuzzy head because I'm not used to doing a shot, and I just messed up even worse. So I sent the entire crew home. And I'm like, God darn it, I had so much money in. So know that I'm not trying to be funny, I'm being realistic, but now I want to be realistic again. The crew left. I had already spent the money. I had already booked the crew. I had already booked media. I was obligated for 250 grand when 250 grand was like $25 million to me. Borrowed money, beg, borrow, steal, and I sent them home and I'm like, man, you royally screwed up. You completely screwed up. Your sister was right, your dad was right. I was literally, hand to God, on the back of a piece of paper writing down how long it was going to take me selling cars and renting apartments, how long it was going to take me to pay off the 250 grand. That's what I was doing that night. And then all of a sudden I'm like, would you, Jesus, like, stop. That's going down that, right? Remember that, those two voices? I was letting the voice of you're not good enough, you're too young, you're not Tony Robbins, you don't have money. And I'm like, no. I got back into the, no, you're meant for more. You could do this. Stop it. And I remember having this conversation with myself. And it was the start of what I'm going to share with you today. I literally said, I got to be me. I don't know any other version of me. I can't try to be Tony Robbins. I can't try to be Carlton Sheets. I can't stand up any show. I hunch a little when I talk too much. I'm like, I just got to be me. I got a New York accent. I got a high-pitched voice. And the next day, I remember just saying, F it. If I got to pay off the 250 over 5 years, I'll just flip more cars. I'll do it. But I'm just going to be me. And thanks, Will, right? Might not be the answer, but it was worth a shot. True story. And I went the next day, and I just got to be me. And do we have that clip? Robbie, can you find that infomercial clip, the short one? See if we got that someplace. I'll play it later. Some of you, many of you have already seen it. But long story short, I went out the next day. That's a clip we have here. And I was just me. And if you look at it, it is horrific. It is New York accent, high-pitched voice, my vocabulary. Not that it's much better today, but it was terrible. And simultaneously, it worked. And I think it worked because I was just me. It didn't work for everybody. Some people might say, I'm not listening to a young New York kind of guy. No, but it was enough to start this career and get off the ground. And ever since that day, I've been trying to just find ways to be more of me. I hope you guys feel that this is me. I don't have a vast vocabulary. I don't try to say words that other people do. I don't use a lot of slides. My team's been dying for me for years to use their fancy, we have the most amazing graphics team. And what do I usually do? They build all the slides, and what do? I get up and I go to the whiteboard. I don't know, I'm just a whiteboard guy, maybe because I'm older. So I just have found a way to be more and more of me, and the more I get to be me, the more my business grew. And I hope if we ever have the chance to meet in person, a couple of you on the screen I have met in person, that you see there's no difference. So I want to start today by telling you, when I tried to memorize a script, it didn't work. When I tried to use words that weren't mine, it didn't work. When I tried to find a sales pitch that was a proven model for getting people to say yes, it didn't work. But when I just started thinking, who do I want to serve? Who do I want to help? And I started to think about what keeps them up at night. And these are some of the things you should write down. And I know you've been taught this before. This is just on my heart this month. You guys being a part of this membership, you'll see every month I'm going to bring something I feel means something. If you don't start getting more yeses in 2024, you can't grow your life, you'll grow your business. Can we agree on that? So I want to plant this seed. This is a seed we're planting today to make sure it flourishes and grows and produces fruit by the end of 2024. But what I realized is that wasn't the answer. When I started understanding what keeps people up at night, what are they afraid of? How can I help them in my own unique way, in my own unique voice? How can I help them actually reach their goal, whether that's learning to play piano or finding their heart again or getting through menopause or having a life coach that makes them fall in love with themselves again. Whatever that is, I'm like, how can I help them reach that? And then I started thinking about things, and I know this is kind of wide, but how would I help a friend? If I was sitting at a table with Crystal Long and we were having a conversation, Hey, Crystal. If we were sitting having a conversation, would I go, hey, Crystal, I heard you're going through a little problem and you want to learn how to sell what you know. Let me tell you 5 ways. Like, that's not how the conversation I'd have with Crystal or Rebecca or Steven or Steve, right? I would say, hey, I would speak from the heart. What are you going through? What's your experience? Where do you want to go? And I just started leaning into, I know this sounds crazy, caring more. I just started leaning into understanding more. I started leaning into meeting people where they are, and I started leaning into, if I have the solution, that it's my job to sell them. But if I don't have their solution, it's my job to push them away. And that's where most people screw up. They think, I got to sell everybody. No, no, no. Holly Miller, you got to sell the people that need the thing that you have. And if it lies even an inch outside of that, how you protect your reputation is to say, God, I'd love to help you, but that's not us. And all of a sudden, you have this integrity, and it's an internal integrity. It's this level of confidence to go, oh, I can get even better and better in this specific lane. Is this making sense? I didn't rehearse how I was going to share this with you today, but it's coming from my heart. And think about this. We had Thanksgiving if you live here in the States. I hope you guys had an amazing Thanksgiving. And we got holidays coming up. Lots of holidays, right? This is the holiday season. I want to share a little something with you. As you sit around the dinner table, and most people don't have conflicts. They make that in satire and comedy. It's always the conflicts at holidays and Thanksgiving and Christmas. But there's some colorful conversations. Can we agree? And during the holidays, you get some colorful conversations. It's the sister that's judgmental, or the cousin that thinks you're crazy for wanting to do your own thing. Like, all these things, they come up, right? You want to freak people out? I want to challenge you to do a little something. I want to challenge you, if there's anybody in your life that just doesn't agree with. Maybe you got different politics, different religion, different desire on work. They say, do your work for somebody else so it's safer. And you're like, working for somebody else forever feels like death, right? You might have completely different mindset. Here's what I want to give you a little hack to test. Would you guys do this for me? Would you just have fun with it and you don't have to tell another person? You could just laugh internally. You want to freak someone out that doesn't agree with you? Let them feel understood. No matter what they say. Just let them feel understood. Listen, of course, Alexandra. But even more than that, don't just listen. Try to truly put yourself in a spot where they feel understood. You know what happens so many times when someone's complete opposite of you? You know what I love? Moms, dads, you too, but moms, you're really going to love this. How cool is it for someone who's not a mom to tell you how you should do something different with your child? How's that feel? You guys like that one? Paulina, I see you laughing, right? Don't you love? It's like, when I have I'm just telling you, digital is not good. When I have a child, I'll never let them on my iPad, right? They haven't been where their mom's juggling 3 kids, trying to get in the showers, got food going on. You hand the kid the iPad for 5 minutes just to give you a break to finish up, and you get a judgment call on that. Fast forward 3 years, they have a baby, they're on iPads, they got a phone, they're praying for God to come down and help them, right? But still, someone gives you a judgment like that, instead of trying to be understood, because what typically, say you're a mom, right? Who's a mom? Raise your hand if you're a mom. Or plan to be, right? Maybe. If not, cool. An aunt, a cousin, a lover, something. But next time someone says to you, or someone, I'm using it as an example, when I raise my kids, I'm just going to do it a little different. Especially like as a parent, you just want to right? Jump back. Here's what I'd say. Next time, instead of trying to make your point understood, hear me on this one. You don't know what it's like. Sometimes you have to juggle. Sometimes you have to do this. You got one crying, one's breastfeeding, one's this, one's that. I'm trying to answer the phone. I was trying to do something for my significant other. It's just, like, instead of trying to feel understood, what if you just went, so what do you think too much, online, too much digital does, too much screen time? I'd love to hear your opinion. You You want to freak people out? They think they're hitting a button, and you start asking questions to be understood. You know what will happen eventually? They'll go, yeah, you know what though? I'm not even a parent yet, so maybe I'll do it too. It's like, that's how it works, right? But what happens when someone shares something, right? Look at the craziness of our politics. If you're here in the States, oh my God, I don't care who you are and what you believe are. Like, we got to choose between Biden and Trump. Come on. Like, I don't care. Like, I'm not going to talk politics, but still, and that conversation where people are like, no matter what your beliefs are, let's say you believe in one or the other or something completely different in politics, and someone comes up with something that would make you go, oh my God, are you insane? Like, you just want to go, are you insane for thinking that way? Next time, just go, huh. Okay, I'd love to understand why you think that way. You watch people freak out. No one does that anymore. We're in this combative world of like, no, hear me, no, hear me, no, hear me. The art of selling, the art of getting a yes, the art of mastering your message, write this down and please hear it for me, is letting people feel understood. Now, I just talked about some really conflicting ways. Politics, talking about a mom, I'm just talking about the product or service you're going to offer. When people watch you, you could be the know-it-all, which you should be. I've done it, great. But simultaneously, we have to remember what we felt when we were in those shoes and let that person feel understood. Enter conversations they're having right now. Back to what I said earlier. What are the fears they're having right now? What are the goals they have right now? What do they worry about right now? And if this is just a fact, if you let people feel understood, they will respect you, they will buy from you, they will learn from you, and they will refer you. And even better is when you get a yes from them and you follow the strategies to over-deliver, to truly change their lives. That's when a business explodes. There are good salespeople who sell a shitty product. Is that true? And there are really good products and people don't know how to sell and they don't sell too. Is that true? What's the magic combo? Not trying to oversimplify it. Fall in love with your client, fall in love with your product, fall in love with your service, create something magical, and then get amazing at persuasion because you know if you get a yes, you could change their life. And I can't solve all those problems in our hour together live, but I'm going to try to solve some today. I'm going to try to plant some seeds today. I got to give you a story. What's really great is this is not public. This is only for our mastermind family, so hopefully this won't go anyplace else because my daughter would absolutely kill me what I'm about to share with you. No, really, Pamela, I'm not joking. Like literally if my daughter was here, she'd lose her mind. But I got to tell you, I have a daughter who just turned 17. So if anybody else has been there, you know what that's like. She's got a boyfriend. Sweetest kid ever. Mr. Graziosi, plays 2 sports, works like the guy you'd want your daughter to date. But it's still 17. 7 minutes ago, she was a little girl all over my neck giving me kisses, and now she's walking in with a 6'4" football-playing boyfriend. It is a little freaky. Josephine, I see you smiling. It's new, right? So he comes over 2 nights ago. God, she would kill me. I hope if anybody in here knows my children, don't post any of this, please, or share it. He comes over 2 nights ago, and she goes, Dad, we're going to go upstairs watch a movie. I'm like, cool. So I go upstairs, and I sit with them. They're watching a movie, and they're talking. And I don't know how to handle this. This is a first-time gig. Like, they're upstairs in a room watching a movie. And I'm like, am I supposed to set boundaries here? She has good boundaries, but am I supposed to say something? But if I say something, man, that's going to freak her out. I'll look like I'm an annoying dad. The door's open. I just got done talking to her. She said, Dad, come back up anytime to watch the thing. So it's not like she's trying to hide, but I'm still downstairs like freaking out of saying like, do I say, hey, don't dare close the door? You know, there's 5 rules that are in this. Like, I'm literally freaking out on what to say to her. And I'm like, Matthew, you're laughing. Like, do I not say anything? Cool, Dad. But then she thinks, oh, I could do anything in front of my dad. Let me close the door. No, right? So I'm like freaking out what to do. And I'm like, how the hell do I handle this? So I just text her. I'm like, hey, kid, I should read this text. I literally said to her, hey, kid, all this boyfriend stuff is so new to me. I'm trying to figure this crap out. I'm downstairs pacing, trying to figure it out. What are some cool rules? I said to her, what are some cool rules you should have with having a boyfriend over at 17? What do you think? She's like, well, Dad, we're just watching a movie. We got the lights turned down because it's better for the movie, but you can come up anytime. I'm like, no, I get it. But I said, you're not doing anything wrong. I'm not mad at you. I'm like, but what are some rules? She goes, I think the rules should be never a closed door, not locked. You can come up anytime you want. I was like, done, easy, it's over. I said, perfect, enjoy the movie. I was like, I was freaking out on what to say, right, Alan? I'm like, I'm going to tell her, daughter, these are, like, all I had to do was ask. I had to meet her where she was. I had to what did I do? I let her feel understood, right? I let her feel understood. And then that night, cool thing, she said, Dad, just wanted to say, before I went to bed, swear on my life, she said, Dad, my daughter doesn't do this all the time anymore. I had a little girl, I love yous every day. Now I got to work my ass off for an I love you. I don't know if you guys have been there. I got to work hard for it. That night, she's like, thanks for today, I love you. I went to bed like, wow. Just practice what I preach in business. Just bring that shit home, and it works. So anyway, thanks for letting me share. That's, if you're brand new to the Mastermind family, you get some personal stuff I don't share anyplace else. I just feel comfortable here. So think about that. I'm not trying to oversimplify it, but I bet a lot of you are overcomplicating your thoughts around selling. If you were honest, raise your hand if you overcomplicate selling. Right? Maybe 3 hands that didn't go up, right? What would you do for someone you care about? How would you talk to them to get them to say yes, right? I wrote these notes. Stand out, be original, be you. We already talked to that. One of my best videos that ever went viral online, I was climbing a mountain, hiking up a mountain in Idaho. I was with a bunch of people, and we were hiking. And I got up super early. I hiked the mountain, and the whole way up, I was just in this space because I had saw, on the way flying to Idaho, I saw, at that time, this is probably 7 years ago, 5 years ago, I saw that the average American, the majority of Americans only have 2 weeks worth of money. And it just hurt my heart. It wasn't like it just hurt my heart. Like, God, really? We're in a place like that? The average person is 2 weeks away from being broke? And I said, and I remember thinking about it all the way up the mountain, all the way down. And I was hiking with someone, and I'm competitive. And they were a hiker. They hiked more than me, so I had felt obligated to beat them up to the top of the mountain, which I did, and then beat them on the way down to the mountain, except literally, you know when you exercise so much and your heart's beating so hard that you feel your heartbeat in your eyes, like your back of your head? So I came down the mountain, I'm feeling that way, but the whole way up and the whole way down, all I could think about is, God, 2 weeks. God, we got to do something about this. Like, we have to do something. I remember calling Tony, I'm like, we got to do something about this. I get down the bottom of the mountain, I am sweating like a mess. My hair is like this because I just got up and just ran up and ran down. I look horrific. I was hiking with the guy I was telling you about. I said, could you hold this camera for a minute? I was standing by a stream, and I started. You talk about, I teach you hook, story, close. That's for another day. I had 0 hook. I literally started. It was the dumbest open in the world because I was like, I just got done hiking that mountain. Like, no one gives a shit that I just got done hiking the mountain, but I was trying to say, because I looked so horrible. Gabby, you're laughing at me. I just wanted people to look at me and be like, he looks like shit because he hiked the mountain. I get it, right? So, but I did that, but then I got into my heart, and I talked about, I'm like, I just saw a statistic, and I talked about the power of surrounding yourself with the right people, and I just went on for like 20 minutes. And everybody said long videos don't work. That thing went viral. Millions and millions and millions and millions of people saw it. I looked like crap. I stuttered over my words. I was breathing heavy still because I just got done running. My eyes were bulging out of my head. I didn't have a plan. I had no hook, but I think people felt that it was just me after a run sharing something I really cared about. And that video ended up, it went viral, then I turned it into an ad for Mastermind, or I think it was for my book, Millionaire Success Habits, and it ended up selling tens of thousands of books. And there was no hard pitch. It wasn't like, and if you get this book, you'll get this, and you'll get that, and you'll get this. It was more like, this is my heart. I think this book can help you because it's got some cool habits in it. Took off. I hope you don't see, I'm not sharing. Look at me, look at me. All I'm saying is, in the moments that I thought, who would watch this, they were my biggest breakthroughs. And it's usually because I was being myself the most. So my job of going upstream today and working with you today is to get that fear out of your head of that you have to be perfect or be someone else, or you're going to be embarrassed in front of friends or family, or what if the video is not perfect? Who cares about that? If you're truly there to serve, to help, to grow, to impact others, to grow something that can be amazing for you and your family, just be you. And I promise it'll attract the people that like you the way you are. And this will help you find your voice. I wrote some notes here. And there's a great training from Heather Monahan that got released this month in Mastermind. It's a really good one on finding your voice. If you haven't seen it, make sure you know it's in there. It got dropped a couple days, like 5-6 days ago. It's really powerful. So here's maybe some things you can try. What if you stopped overthinking it? This is not everybody. Please, I have thousands of you on right now. I know some of you are crushing it. Some of you are brand new. Some of you just joined yesterday, right? And some of you are in the middle. I'm trying to make this for everybody. But even if you're crushing it, is there another level for you? Right? And if you're a beginner, don't you need to hear this, right? So what I'd ask you to do is, say you do a video and you post it and you get a few likes and a few comments. I'd love for you guys to do something. Now, you still have to refine your message. You still should go through kind of that hook, story, close. Say something that's intriguing. You know, that's another day. I don't want to go through the hook, story, close training, but say something that stops people. Go, oh, that's intriguing, right? But I'd love for you to consider to do something more vulnerable than you've ever done before. Listen, when I told you how horrible my first infomercial was, who thought, wow, he was once like I was, right? Did you feel that a little bit? Like, hey, you know, it doesn't all just go perfect. I didn't just turn on the camera and Dean was magically amazing on camera. I've screwed up for so long, but I've done it long enough to be able to get here. People want to see your vulnerability, right? If you're helping people through divorce, man, what's better than reminding yourself and reminding them what it was like when you went through that divorce? Or if you're helping women find themselves again, Trish, it's Trista or Angie or Sarah. If you're helping women, if you're helping women find themselves again, how cool is it to remind yourself and them when you lost yourself? Sometimes we also feel like we got to be so good and we got to be on the other side and everything's perfect. The kids are polished, life is great, you look perfect, you're at the perfect weight. Man, people love the messy middle. I see you, Jane, they do. Because at least you're in the middle. Some of your people are starting at ground zero. They'd love to be in the middle. They'd love to be out of the hell. Maybe they're not into heaven yet or paradise, but they just love to be out of hell. And you're thinking, oh, when I get to paradise, then I can share. BS. None of us get to paradise. We're all working on being a better version of ourselves every day, aren't we? If we're a chapter ahead, a month ahead, a smile ahead, a couple paychecks ahead, income ahead, if we're ahead of somebody, let me just ask you, if you were taking a sales position in a new company, and there was somebody there 6 months before you, and they were making the kind of money that you'd like to make, would you like to speak with them for 3 hours before you started? They're not a multi-gazillionaire, right? They haven't been there for 72 years. They're 6 months ahead of you. Could that 6 months shorten your learning curve? Yes or no? Put it in the chat. Yes or no? Could they shorten your learning curve? Right? Of course they can. And you could shorten somebody else's. And you're actually screwing them over if you're not selling them into what you have. You got to think about that. There's somebody struggling in silence. They're suffering in silence. Or they're procrastinating in silence. Or maybe they've been thinking, I know some of you, we have so many students help teach piano or violin online and are doing amazing. And the suffering is they've been thinking about doing piano for 22 years. And because you're afraid to put yourself out there, they're going to suffer for another 10. Right? I think about those things. And when it does, it drives me to be better at what I share. One more story. I guess I'm on storytelling today, so sorry. Before we could record videos on our phone, does anybody remember when there was a hot moment when there was something called the flip camera? Anybody remember the flip camera? It was a little white camera, about a little bit bigger than this clicker. And it lasted a hot minute because then phones you could film, but it was before phones could film. And they came out, they were at Walmart, they were at Target, they were at the big Costco stores. And it was just this little tiny camera, just like a phone we have today. And you could film it. And then there was a little chip in it. I mean, it was horrible, but it was before the phone. So I saw that when it first came out. And I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. I want to send one to like 50 of my students and say, hey, just film the success you've had working with us. Right? So I went and bought like 50 of them at Costco. I got home. I remember I was doing this myself with FedEx, and we're writing out the envelopes to our friend. I just wrote a little letter. Hey, I'd love if you had success with our program, I'd love if you could just turn the camera on and film. So I send out 50. I get like 35 of them back, and I am like, this is going to be so cool. Before then, we'd fly them in, or we'd fly to them to film our success stories. Right? This is when I was doing infomercials, and I'm like so excited. And I look at these, and they are a hot mess. Every single one of them. It's like, it was before, Gabby, you keep laughing at me, but it was before everybody got good on phones. So it's like, hey, Dean, I am so excited. Like, some of them, like, were you on like a roller coaster, like, or a bumpy ride? Like, how could you actually shake a camera that much? Did I have to write a letter? Please put the camera on a stable spot. How about some people would do it with the light behind them? Anybody ever film when it looks beautiful, like you're at a place where the ocean's behind you and it's pure bright out, and then you're inside the house, and you want everybody to see the ocean, so you film yourself. You don't realize the light picks up on you, the ocean's black. So then it got people going, oh, I'm here celebrating on the ocean. You can't see the ocean. Like, we had one, no exaggeration, where a guy filmed in his front lawn, and his dog barked obsessively through the entire thing. And as I'm watching it, the dog's bugging me. I'm like, were you just numb to the fact that your dog was screaming the whole time? Like, is your dog okay? Should you have checked on him? Every one, I was just disappointed and then disappointed. I'm like, that was a dumb idea. I wake up 2 days later. I'm like, man, I got all these. I'm just going to cut them and use them. And I'm just going to put actual footage, no script, no nothing. I'm just going to use them. One of the biggest infomercials in my life. Irene, I see you laughing. It freaking took off like a monster. And everybody was making fun of the guy with the dog because halfway through the dog barking, a chicken walked in front of him. And he's like, come on, come on. And he's like yelling at the chicken to move out of his seat. And it was unbelievable. And it just reinforced, like, man, we're always looking for perfection. Can I ask you something? I'm kind of going off script again today. I hope you don't mind. But who's waiting to launch because you feel like you got to be a little more perfect? That you got to be a little better on camera. That you have to have a little more confidence. You got to get your pitch down pat. Look at the hands up, everybody, right? What if today was just the day you stopped waiting? What if you realized the world needs you? Not a different version of you. Just you. And you're not going to get it perfect. Believe me, you're not, and that's okay. It's about getting started, right? It's about getting started. It's about people. It's about finding your voice. So here's what I'd love to do. Let's do a little work. You guys up for just a little work? We got some more time together, right? Here's what I'd love for you to do. Let's take a few minute break here, but a working break. Don't go anywhere. Let's take a break, and I'd love for you to brainstorm with yourself on top questions you think your ideal or future client has. What are questions they're asking themselves? What are goals that they have? What are things they're afraid of? Right? And you could think of things like, what's the value you can offer them to help solve that problem or to help reach their goal, right? I know I'm a little bit all over the place, so hopefully you're getting this. I'll sum it up here. And what's your unique perspective? What makes you you? Alice or Robert or David, Michelle, Teresa, Sue, Claudia. It's a big whiteboard there. You got Claudia. Oh, it's just you had it close to the camera. It looked like a big old. But what is a problem you can help them solve? What is a goal you can help them reach? So this, I'm going to try to chunk it. What's a problem you could solve for them? What's a goal you could help them reach? Number 3, what's your unique perspective to help them? I think that would be a really good thing to take a few minutes. Remember, meeting them where they are. What's the value you can provide? Your unique perspective. What is the goal you can help them achieve? I'm going to sum this up. The problem you can help them solve. What value can you provide to them? And what's your perspective? You guys, again, some of you are already in this, fine-tune it. You're already crushing it. Brand new people, do the work no matter what industry you're in. This works for anything in the history of the world. When people say to me, what's the secret to selling? I'm sharing it with you. Everybody wants the sales script that works. It's the heart. It's the art behind that. It's the messaging. That's what makes the difference of somebody who gets a sale or someone who thrives in a business. So let's take a few-minute break and do those 4 things. We'll take 8 or 10 minutes, cool? And raise your hand, or you could let me know when you're done. You could put it in the chat. I'm done. I'm going to sit right here. I'm not going anywhere. So don't you go anywhere. Let's do the work. We'll be back in a few minutes. Well, listen, I watched you guys doing the work, so I'm really, really happy that you guys did it. Who's got some new stuff that you're thinking about just from today, right? Here's what I want to tell you. If you have a sales presentation in anything you do, refine it. If you like what it is you provide, fall in love with it. If you're worried about if you're doing it as good as other people, I'd say fall in love with your uniqueness. Fall in love with the way you present, the way you talk. I'll never use big words. I mean, this is just me. This is what you get. And there might be somebody that wants somebody that does it. That's great. They're on somebody else's live training right now, and that's okay. Different strokes for different folks. I was meant to hopefully talk to this amazing audience. You have a whole audience out there waiting for you. You know, if you ever hear my buddy Trent Shelton share, he's like, there is somebody dying to hear your voice, and they can only hear your voice. And you're the only person that could speak into them to fill the gap from where they are to where they want to be. So today is just a nudge to say, love having you a part of the family. I love that you're a success seeker, or you're already having success, you want to go to the next level. I love the fact that we all have in common that we know we're meant for more. I love the fact that you know how to pay for speed to be a part of something that can deliver you capabilities. I love the fact that you took time today to show up. But until we take that next level uncomfortable action, we can't realize the level of success we can actually achieve. And I'm going to be here pushing and pulling and providing capabilities. We do Monday lives. We're here live together every month. We have a new course coming out every single month. We got some amazing things coming inside Mastermind. We are updating Gigi, your AI assistant. If you're using Gigi, put it in the chat what you think. If you're not, please go to Mastermind today. Ask Gigi anything. It's unbelievable. She is growing smarter because of all the feedback. Tens of thousands of you have asked questions, and as you do, it gets smarter. It's answering more and more like Tony and I. It's insane how this is growing. It's hard for me to even imagine. Look at what people are writing. But I would love for you to go use it today. Go watch a course today, or schedule that you're going to watch one every single week. You know, you have 50 courses in there. You have 4 years worth of inner circles like this, all at your fingertips. And sometimes we get stuck trying to figure it out. Here's what I would challenge you to do in 2024. When you start thinking, how am I going to figure that out? Shift that to who's already done it and who's created a course inside Mastermind that I could go watch. And if there's ever a course you want, let us know. Even if there's a person you want, a course you want, we have a whole bunch lined up for that next level. Also, for those of you that are on this path alone, that journey, if you ever want to talk to one of our team about accountability, about having the opportunity to work with us, to have somebody help hold your hand, there is zero obligation. If you can go out and do it on your own, great. But I want to give you the opportunity, if you ever want to schedule a 15-minute strategy session with someone on our team, just to talk about, we have something called the Action Academy, where we help, where you become a part of a next level group, where you have coaching like this every single day live to meet you there. You might not be ready for it, and that's okay. But when you are, I want to give you a URL. I would like you to write this down and just keep it handy. If you ever want to talk, it's a 15-minute call. You'll see it's not a high-pressured sales call. It is figuring out where you are, where you want to go, and if we can help you get there, right? So write down mmstrategycall.com, mmstrategycall.com. And if you ever want to call and talk to somebody, the team's literally here in the room. They'll help you figure out if we can serve you on another level. All right, so you want to see that clip from the team queued up that clip? You guys, who's already seen it? You guys have already seen it, I know. So Elaine Nightingale, you can laugh at me again. I just watched them, it's so embarrassing, but this was day 2. You'll notice the New York accent. It is cheesy, but we all have to start someplace. Go ahead, play that. Start it over. Sorry, guys. That's how old it is.
No matter how you use it. Watch my show, and I'm going to show you how I drove this incredible car for 6 months and profited $5,000 worth of spendable cash. I'm going to show you how I drove this car for 4 months and profited another $4,000 worth of spendable cash. My secrets in Motor Millions will even show you how to get started with no money. And I'm going to show you how to start even if you know nothing about cars.
Dean went from over $40,000 in debt, no college degree, and no money.
Kill the audio, guys. It is so hard to watch, and that is so cheesy. Oh, my God. So bad. But that's what I did at the time. I used to buy cars at auctions. I'd clean them up, fix them. I'd drive them for 3 or 4 months. Then I'd sell them to make a profit. And that was Motor Millions. I taught people how to find cars through classified ads and public auctions. And did you hear, wait, how do you like all, right? That is a New York thing. I've worked on getting rid of that. It's like all, right? Like call, mall, let's go to the mall, right? I had to work on getting rid of that. And spendable cash, like it sounded like a 14-year-old at a gangster movie. But the reason I share that and will be vulnerable and humble myself is that was the day after I freaked out and was trying to be somebody else. And I kind of went overboard and was totally just me, like I was hanging out with my friends. But for some reason, that infomercial worked. It wasn't a monster hit. Just want to be honest with you guys. It wasn't a monster, but that was the start of that business, got me to about $2 million in sales. And then I learned so much from that over about 4 years that I took that and evolved into, I created, because by then I had flipped 50 houses and I had apartments, and I created a real estate, how to make money in real estate, starting with, your first deal. And that's how the journey went. None of it was perfect. None of it was pretty. A lot of it was ugly and uncomfortable, but I was lucky enough to be brave enough to go back at it day 2, when really that night I was figuring out, how can I pay off this $250,000 in debt over the next 5 years? I'm like, screw it, I'm just gonna be me tomorrow. And that was the start of all this. I just wanna say thank you for being a part of this family. Thank you for showing up today. I had a blast hanging out with you guys today, as you can tell. I hope you could tell. This is fun to me. But I really want you to think about it. If you got to go back and watch again, even though we had fun today and I was not trying to be silly, I was just being myself today, there was value, incredible lessons that took me 30 years to figure out in what I shared today. And I'm not trying to oversimplify it, but I bet you're overcomplicating it. And when you get out of your head and get into your heart, you'll realize sales come through the lens of service way faster than they come from strategy and technique. And when you learn that, you'll fall in love with selling. We get more yeses in 2024, and you scale the business you have, or you finally get the business you've been dying to have launched. We're always here for you. Every Monday, new courses. We'll go live. If you need something, hit up our team. I appreciate you all so much. And if you want that strategy session anytime, mmstrategycall.com. I appreciate y'all. We'll see you soon.